So first of all, I mean, when we're thinking about front end, it's all the changes coming to Merchant Center.
Yeah.
So Merchant Center is becoming a sort of hub to allow you to host all of your product data, share that between different platforms. So they're expanding it out. So it's not just Google. It's now how you can share that with other platforms as well. And then using that, not only then just for product details, but also for your static imagery, using it for videos, using it to create and generate those. And really it's just becoming how you pass through what you want to surface to people in the Google and just generally in the digital marketing ecosystem.
And that goes beyond Google placements.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're partnering with different platforms. They didn't confirm the full list. They're still in conversations with some people. It'll be interesting to see how Meta and Microsoft engage with this. But fundamentally, it's about allowing that product feed data to just be shared directly across, rather than being reliant on that own platform's product feed data, and then across the other imagery. So it also then aggregates that information. So you'll be able to see how is it performing across these different channels, what volume is going between those as well. So it is a two-way data flow. It's not just push these assets in, it's also and pull out what's going on with them. But even if we go back to the Google ecosystem as well, it's going a little bit beyond that with Google My Business. So Merchant Center is playing a much more impactful role than, I mean, obviously it has been impactful for a long time. It's been, you know, all of your shopping ads, which is normally quite a large proportion of retail e-commerce spend.
Yeah.
But it's also sort of incorporating out and starting stretching into Google My Business as well. So it becomes how your brand represents itself from organic. And in that case, so it really is about just aggregating all that data together.
There was stuff in there, I'm not sure I can cover it directly, but it was definitely a heading that I read, like giving brands tools to sort of manage their profile within the search results. And we kind of got the old sort of style kind of called the knowledge box, which was just like, who's the CEO, what's the phone number, where's the head office?
Yeah.
And sort of expanding upon that with more kind of brand. So there's more interest in the brand control.
Yeah, and it does also, it opens up a lot of opportunities for smaller businesses at that, because it's not another interface to learn, it's not another platform to learn. It allows you to, because if you're thinking about small e-commerce stores, they're already sharing all that information. If you think especially on things like Shopify, they're sharing through all that Merchant Center information already. It's just then a little bit of additional data to share across with the platform they already use. And it feels like, again, this is all of these changes coming through across what's been announced at GML is really about just leveling the playing field and really just opening up sort of more opportunities for people to advertise.
Massively expanding the playing field.
Exactly.
I mean, in terms of the brand identity, it's very interesting because on the one hand, you can control your brand identity with the new AI-powered creative tools, as well as being able to control your knowledge box and how your brand services in the search. So it's an all-in-one Merchant Center.
Yep.
I'd say.
Collecting all of that information and then allowing you to develop it and improve it beyond that as well. So when we're thinking about the, again, I mentioned about it being sort of like a great level up, the editing functionality within the Merchant Center as well. So being able to take from a photo, so essentially having just a photo of like a dress on a bed, for example, is the version that they're looking at, and then a picture of someone wearing that, and then using that and converting it into a professional looking product image using AI, taking that product image and turning it into a static asset as well for use on display, on discovery, all of those components, and then taking those and converting them into video formats for use on YouTube. So essentially, just from those initial two photos, you can then build what you want this product, how you want this product to be represented, and have everything you need to then run that on PMax.
In a way, it's like reaching out to the whole sector that's grown up, which is Shopify focused.
Yeah.
And like Shopify Shops is absolutely huge.
Exactly, and enabling them to be lean and also be competitive.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about Google's big upgrade to their video generator tool.
Yeah.
And that it's pretty powerful. How does that connect into what we've just been saying?
Yeah, so we were just touching on how the product images can be converted into video, and a huge part of that is that it's all using AI essentially, and be able to connect up those frames, look at what sort of feels realistic for it. And it's not just designed for people who can't afford to have any photography done. the quality of the output on this is really, I mean, given the time it's taken to get to this stage, is astonishing. And VO3, the latest sort of iteration of this, is really uncanny in a way. It is incredibly realistic, incredibly flexible, and also still incredibly cheap. I mean, price-wise, it's not as cheap as VO2, but you can actually have conversations. So you can have, you know, realistic people talking, conversing. You can have whatever you want presenting your brand image, and also then put that wherever you like. So you don't then have to have expensive product shoots. You don't have to, you know, if you wanted to have a video asset created as a small store, you could create one without needing to then have a ridiculously huge budget. So VO is a really, really interesting one in just how, again, it opens up that YouTube advertising space. I think that's part of the reason why it's such an accessible tool, because anyone who is then sort of leaning into that and using that is going to then be investing more on video advertising. And sure enough, the main platform to do that is YouTube.
So if everyone is going to have access to this kind of powerful tools soon, what does that mean for kind of trying to stand out? If it's going to be a level playing field, how does anyone get ahead?
This is a subject which has been occupying our thoughts. It's like, well, you know, the purpose of what advertising wants to do is to stand out against their competitors. If everything is automated, you're creative, you're targeting, you know, even to a budget to a certain extent, all that's automated is put into a big pot. How does the advertiser, how does the agency, how do you distinguish yourself in the marketplace? How do you stand out?
It is a concern if every asset is created by the same AI. How would you avoid the entire ecosystem just becoming the same sort of like brown sludge instead of sort of a vibrant array of colors? So yeah, it is a big one. I mean, Google suggests that there will be controls to enable you to control your brand image through these means. And also the way in which it's, and it's the same applies for the AI Max for search, the way in which it's generating this content is based on your data rather than it being necessarily an aggregation of everybody else's. So by providing it with accurate data and ensuring your first party data is as best as it can be, which realistically is what Google have been pushing for the last, how many years? 15. Exactly. So again, it's just, I feel like, again, another theme from GML and from all of these, it is a continuation on this journey that Google has been taking people on for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And certainly for the last decade that I've been involved, it's just been the same sort of progress, but it is speeding up, it is accelerating.
It's about providing the best data to Google, but we know from some, especially from the kind of original DSAs and PMAX, we know that if you don't provide Google the data it wants, it will kind of go and take it from your website.
Yes.
From the vast amount of information it has about how people interact.
That's then just the ease of accessibility. So it's still your data,
Yes.
but it will go and find that data for you. But again, by using things like Merchant Center or what Merchant Center is becoming, it's reducing those barriers for you to be able to share that. And especially if you think about, again, like the sort of the smaller Shopify stores who are able to, or have an e-commerce website, they've got their products, but they just don't have the budget to sort of go after these things. Shopify directly integrating via Content API into Merchant Center means that this is going to be an easy route of entry for these advertisers. And there's a huge amount of them, in the UK, so hundreds of thousands out there sort of ready to scale. They've got the logistics in place, they've got their pricing in place. It's just then how they get their name out there and how they try and break through. And that's all just dependent on how they build their brand and how they identify themselves as being a differentiator compared to other people.
Okay, so that's the kind of the front end, the asset side. There's another side to this, which is data manager.
Yes.
And so upgrades there. What's happening?
Data manager is going to be in a position where it's just collecting better first-party data. So as I mentioned before, being the back-end data, the focus is on your audiences, your conversion actions, all of that sort of data that you can pass through, and passing that through to a greater level of detail than we were previously. So there's a big focus, especially on lead gen at the moment, of passing through not just your leads that you're generating and not just your revenue that you're getting on the other side, but every touch point in that lead journey. So let's say that you have a lead form on the website that someone has to go through and sort of show intent to click on. So you might be tracking, well, how many people opened the lead form? Or how many people viewed it? And then going through to them, well, how many people submitted that lead? How many people then went on to being sales qualified? And then how many people then sort of went on through the sort of next stage of the process until eventually you get to the revenue. By passing through all of that data,
And making it easy to pass it through.
exactly.
Because it's been quite onerous in the past, hasn't it?
Mm.
And also, it's been up to the client to kind of evaluate the value for every single stage.
Yeah. But by passing that all in, it's going to get to the stage where you are looking at the propensity to convert. And then as it's tracking those users as they go through each step of that funnel, then how that value changes. So it's going to be really exciting where they go with this. It's still early in terms of that process, and still it relies on sort of you sort of putting in your own values for it. But it can use that to better understand quicker as well what is working, what isn't working. Because if you just have your first stage and your last stage and it takes 3 weeks in between, if you add in the subsequent stages and one stage takes place 4 days later, it can get that learning so much sooner than if you just waited for that final revenue. And it can then use that for optimization. So it is exciting. But a lot of this is then how they're improving the access and ease of you sharing your own data with them to then better how the AI models are working for you.
So data manager is in, so we moved on from talking about the Google Merchant Center. So now we're back in the sort of main Google Ads interface. So
Yes.
data manager is where what used to call content optimizations, hasn't it? Where business data is to be, sort of for the your ad customizer feed and your sort of that sort of stuff. It's in there. It's like it's now given the grand title of data manager.
Exactly. And they've expanded the number of native integrations it has as well.
Okay.
So again, going back to that lead gen piece, although it also does apply to retail, but on lead gen, having those direct integrations with different CRM platforms, so you can actually then things like HubSpot and Salesforce and so on and so forth, being able to plug directly into those, so it can just pull that data itself without you having to set up all these complex imports. It just skips a lot of that onerous setup and gets you closer to being able to just optimize.
This is quite a leap from where it was even sort of 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So from all of these kind of changes, we can discern a kind of direction of travel for Google Ads, which is that Merchant Center sort of for one central place that you can control both your brand, your ads, your data.
If you're a retailer.
If you're a reseller.
If you're a retailer. Or a lead, or if your business is lead gen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.